Let us explore how one with autism or ADHD or both might meditate. This evening's lesson is drawn from a good-hearted question found, of all places, on Reddit. On Reddit, home of the troll. What's that? Do you need... Are you looking for that new misanthropic gatekeeper to decimate the remains of your self-esteem? Then Reddit may be the place for you. Good evening, Kevin and James and Charlotte and her web. A good-hearted person on Reddit asked, any meditation tips for autistic ADHDers? Ha ha ha! Have I got tips for you? They asked, hi, 31 male here who is a level 1 autistic and has combined ADHD. I find meditation to be impossible due to the ADHD. I want to achieve what seems to me to be perfect meditation, where you're in between asleep and awake, like your brain is awake but your body is asleep, is how it was explained to me. Aw, ain't that cute? But it's wrong. Guided meditations are too distracting with someone talking here and there and breaks my focus. And I always fall asleep trying. Any suggestions? Oh yeah. We're going to begin with some broad brushstrokes. First of all, when some people, not everybody, but when some people get into a diagnosis, they use it as a justification of inadequacy. Fuck you, I've got a pricey diagnosis and you don't. Kind of like the first season of Saturday Night Live. I'm Chevy Chase and you're not. However, there are some people who are like, fuck you, neurologist. I want to be the all-being master of time, space, and dimension, or at least get my homework done. I want to be a good person who avoids having meltdowns. I want to be happy and well-adjusted. I want to be the person my dog already thinks I am. And to those people I say, well done you. I will do everything in my ability, everything in my power to help you to be the person that your dog already thinks you are. However, if we use the wrong definitions of mindfulness and meditation, if we confuse, if we use the wrong definitions, then it's impossible. Our definitions of mindfulness and meditation have to align with the cutting edge of neuroscience. Especially for those of us who are neurospicy. Ah, now that's a spicy meatball, eh? So let's dig into it. If we rely on active concentration if we rely upon our medial prefrontal cortex to practice active concentration, and if we rely upon our dorsolateral prefrontal cortex to practice active contemplation, our blood, oddly enough, as confirmed by functional and magnetic resonance imaging studies, will pool in our amygdala. This thing that looks kind of like a pea at the bottom of our limbic system. That seems to function as if it was the seat of both our aggression and our anxiety. Rely upon active concentration and active contemplation, and this will be engorged with blood like a 12-year-old boy with his first Playboy magazine. However, and this is wild, when we replace active concentration, let me rephrase this, when we replace reliance upon our medial prefrontal cortex active contemplation with the mindfulness based upon our sympathetic nervous system, accessed during each inhalation, ensconced within the thoracic region of our spinal cord. Rely upon this bad boy, and awareness becomes inevitable. What kind of awareness? The kind of awareness that is vulnerable and passive and visceral and random. The mindfulness that is not in harmony with our yang tendencies of being rigid, fearful, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel. Oh no. This is the mindfulness that is in harmony with our yin, with the Buddha, in harmony with being flexible, loving, laid back, egalitarian, lucid, cooperative, and kind. But wait, there's more. When we replace our active contemplation, our active hyperanalysis that is reliant upon our dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, when we refrain from relying upon that and instead rely upon our parasympathetic nervous system, accessed during each exhalation, found within both the lower lumbar region of our spinal cord as well as the tippy top of its cervical region. When we rely upon this parasympathetic nervous system that is wired, that has evolved to support both our physical relaxation as well as our mental release, then the enlightenment, no less the peace and wisdom and love and joy and resourcefulness the Buddha offers is within our grasp. Not within multiple lifetimes, not within a decade, but within a handful of months, practiced only once every 12 hours or so. Methodically, gradually, consistently, and sustainably. What is enlightenment? When I was a kid, I was exposed with, I was contaminated, I tell you, corrupted by an exposure both to Monty Python and to Steve Martin, way back in his comedy album days. And I think during his last comedy album, he coined the phrase, the all-being, master of time, space, and dimension, is not what the Buddha has in store for us. Then what is enlightenment according to the Buddha? What if enlightenment was nothing more than simply the mastery of the Buddha's Eightfold Path? But what is mastery? I don't know about you. You're probably smarter than me. I was as sharp as a marshmallow. And I found the tying of my own shoes to be mind-boggling. But eventually, through effort and a lot of instruction, eventually, by the time first grade rolled around, I could tie my shoes, and I could do it spontaneously, habitually, easily, and effectively, for I had mastered tying my shoes. Similarly, we can master the Buddha's Eightfold Path easily and sustainably and gradually in just a few months. I look forward to exploring the fine details of this, as well as chant and meditate with you after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. Excuse me, I must play you a song in my nose. All class, all the time. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I spent about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each sect of Buddhism so that you would not have to. Welcome, my friends, to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. Come, let us play with the latest iteration of Kind Gaze's Easy Meditation, inspired by Carl Sagan, also known as Uncle Carl, metaphorically speaking. Never knew the fellow. I try to keep this just as rational as possible, as if I was teaching the denizens of Caltech. I'm not, but in my heart, I am. Who is this Kind Gaze? Well, in Sanskrit, he could be described as Avalokiteshvara. In Tibetan, he could be described as Chain Ray Zeeg. Ask someone stuck in the swamp of being rigid, fearful, and controlling, and they'll tell you with eyes the size of saucers that he is an entity worthy of worship and supplication. But ask someone with the good fortune to traverse the path of being flexible, loving, and laid back, and they'll just say, Kind Gaze, that's just an archetype whose iconography reminds us that we are already wired to master, no less practice, awareness and letting go, love and letting go, as well as bliss and letting go. That is exactly right, Jay. Please remind me of the name of your two kitty cat overlords. Because I've got priorities. Let us begin by bringing Lama Khendo's practice of calling the teacher as from afar into Energy Work's path of bliss and letting go. Oh, won't you please chant with me? Let us invite real or imagined Guru Avalokiteshvara to the crown of our head, that in the union of bliss and letting go we may train. Not to be confused with the Soul Train, which to me marked the end of cartoons. During the inhalation, please silently and mentally recite Lama Come, and during the exhalation, please silently and mentally recite To This Crown. In this case, Padmasambhava, or Pema Jungne, represents our Buddha nature, and this handsome fellow up here represents literally the sensations we could experience at the crown of our head, and figuratively, the teacher or the teachings. Now, if you're super clever, you'll take this opportunity to practice Bengali crease counting. During each inhalation, I like to advance my left thumb, and you're welcome to practice along with me, if you dare. I am Puss in Boots, fear me, if you dare. Come, let us explore the thick mangrove swamp that is the Buddha's Eightfold Path. And because I am what Eddie Murphy described as a goony goo-goo, I'm going to begin with the seventh fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path, mindfulness, as I inferred during the opening lesson. Every time we breathe in, whether we know it or not, whether we mean to or not, whether we feel it or not, we are accessing our sympathetic nervous system. No, it is not found within the 3-pound supercomputer between our ears. No, no, no. Instead, it is ensconced within the thoracic or ribcage region of our spinal cord, despite the creativity of the graphic artist whose image I am using for free. Yes, this sympathetic nervous system has evolved for a specific purpose. What could that purpose be? No, it has not evolved to support either extreme of mind blanking or active concentration, rigid, unyielding, and unhelpful. So how rigid is it? It's so rigid that it crankifies us, and nobody wants that. Well then, for what purpose has this sympathetic nervous system evolved? It has evolved to help us, merely to help us perceive. Specifically to help us perceive vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. It has been said by those more clever than myself that vulnerability is the price we pay for mindfulness. And we never feel quite as vulnerable as when we are butt naked sitting on a zebra. Perhaps that is why Samantabhadra and Samantabhadri are depicted in the Tibetan tradition as they say in Texas, naked. During our inhalation, let us kick back and watch the play of mind as it perceives, emotes, intends, reasons, recalls, and imagines. While silently and mentally we recite the demonstrative pronoun this. During our exhalation, let us relax into mind's non-graspable nature as silently and mentally we recite the one-syllable verb is. And let us continue with counting with our left ring finger. Yes. At first, Bengali crease counting can seem bizarro. Practice it for a few minutes every 12 hours or so, and within a week or a fortnight, it'll be second nature. Teddy and Rue. Is Rue French for street, or is Rue like Cajun or Creole sauce? Inquiring minds want to know. Let us turn now to our next chapter, our next set of 4 exercises, described as the outer set of preliminary practices from a certain point of view. If you've just tuned in, allow me to remind you. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or their application, please type your question in great detail in the chat window. And once you click that send button and YouTube gets around to sending it to me, I'll be happy to answer it for you. Please chant with me. Let us courageously exercise the vulnerability to notice other stress. Let the seeds of empathy we may sow. As we breathe in, let us silently and mentally recite, may we note. As we exhale, let us silently and mentally recite, others' stress. Quick review. During our inhalation, we are wired to access our sympathetic nervous system and notice all manner of things: external, internal, physical, mental, pleasurable, painful, interesting, boring, glorious, and grotesque. What are we going to do with these things? This brings us to the eighth fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path, meditation. Because every time we exhale, whether we mean to or not, whether we know it or not, whether we feel it or not, we are accessing our parasympathetic nervous system. Ensconced within both the lower lumbar region of our spinal cord, as well as the tippy top of its cervical region, this parasympathetic nervous system has evolved to support both physical relaxation as well as mental release. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever we noticed during our previous inhalation could begin to feel less graspable, less controlling, less dreadful. Now, since all complex life forms on this planet have evolved to think symbolically, let's sprinkle some figurative language in the mix, shall we? As we relax into our exhalation, whatever we noticed during our previous inhalation could begin to feel as non-graspable as a vast, empty void. Now, any good English teacher will remind us that for a simile to be productive, it must be relatable. Therefore, we can ask, what is a real-world example of a non-graspable, vast, empty void? How about the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although is tantalizing to the eye, is non-graspable to the hand? Perhaps that is why Kundu Zangpo and Kundu Zangmo are depicted as being translucent and as non-graspable as a rainbow. As we inhale and silently and mentally recite this, our body automatically wishes to generate a vertical traction between our tuchus and our head. As we exhale, we are already wired to physically relax and mentally release. Now, that 3-pound supercomputer between our ears can act like Urkel in that 1980s sitcom. Was that Family Matters? I don't remember the exact name. If you remember the name, would you write it in the chat window for me? S'il vous plaît. However, we can de-Urkelify our brain by giving it a job. Hey brain, during the inhalation, would you please recite the demonstrative pronoun? Hey brain, during the exhalation, would you please recite the one-syllable verb is? And when it does, mindfulness and meditation of the 7th and 8th folds of the Buddha's Eightfold Path become child's play. I grew up, I was the proto-Urkel. I don't remember that line. Can you explain that to me, please? Now that we have climbed to contemplative cruising altitude, together as a team, let us meditate as profoundly as Qui-Gon Jinn on Naboo. Together. Instead of torturing ourselves with the fear of karma, may we view interdependence as the opportunity for our love to lighten the loads of others. Let us explore the first of 3 sets of benefits that come from a regular practice of mindfulness and meditation. We shall, once again, there's going to be a bit of review. We're going to let us view this proposition through the paradigm of bad news, good news. We'll begin with bad news. As I've mentioned previously, when we rely upon our medial prefrontal cortex and actively concentrate, and when we rely upon our dorsolateral prefrontal cortex and actively contemplate, our blood collects at the bottom of our limbic system, in and around our amygdala, which functions as the seat of anxiety and aggression. A blend of Deputy Barney Fife and the Tasmanian devil from a Bugs Bunny cartoon. Here's the good news. When we replace reliance upon active concentration with instead reliance upon passive meditation, when we replace reliance upon active analysis with reliance upon passive meditation, our blood shifts from our amygdala to a hunk of meat described as our anterior cingulate gyrus. Our catcher's mitt, if you will, which functions as the hub of our mirror neurons, the seat of empathy and compassion and love. This is why the greatest Dzogchen Lamas of Tibet have insisted that the highest love is spontaneous and uncontrived. It therefore comes as little surprise that these archetypes of love are painted as beautiful. Let's meditate. Oh, I would be negligent if I failed to remind you that despite the ravings of armchair reductionists, Buddhism is about more than just non-attachment. The Buddha taught the Eightfold Path, 50% of which pertains to loving kindness. So don't let anybody tell you that empathy ain't spiritual. Rather than torment ourselves with the dread of death, may we view impermanence as that which makes of grasping an absurdity. Ever-changing, one and all, there is nothing permanent to grasp. Thank you for your patience. We've explored the 7th and 8th folds of the Eightfold Path. Let us explore the 6th fold right now. Consider the gal who is the color of a cumulus cloud. Notice how she appears to be actively delighting in tantric union. This reminds us that contrivance, cold and calculated, is always trumped by spontaneity. Consider her partner, who appears to be passively savoring the same tantric union. This reminds us that not all spontaneity is created equal. The scattered spontaneity we might savor after consuming our third espresso in 30 minutes will always be trumped by the centered spontaneity that is the effortless byproduct of the consistent practice of mindfulness and meditation. In fact, when our choices, utterances, and deeds flow from the effortless effort of love's centered spontaneity, our lives could begin to feel as if they were as blissful as a real or imagined paradise or pure land or vati. Let's meditate. together. Instead of straining to make the most of each precious meditation opportunity. Let's throw an adjective in here. There we go. Instead of neurotically straining to make the most of each precious meditation opportunity, we could simply flow from the centered spontaneity generated by mindfulness and meditation. Now, I think it could be even better if I reshuffled this. But I'm going to have to, let's see. Let's give it a shot. If it doesn't work, we'll just blame James. Oh, James, you scoundrel. Do 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 do. Okay, let's take it from the top, kids. Instead of neurotically straining to make the most of each precious meditation opportunity, we could simply flow from mindfulness and meditation's generation of centered spontaneity. So far we've explored two of the three sets of benefits, or fringe benefits of practicing mindfulness and meditation. We've explored loving kindness, and we've explored centered spontaneity. And we come to the third facet, or the third fringe benefit, the right view of impermanence, which is the first fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. Every time we inhale, our sympathetic nervous system can't help but notice change, although it tries not to, because change can be scary. Some change is subtle, some change is deeply jarring. Whether we want to or not, whether we mean to or not, we can't help but notice changes in that which we see and hear and feel and taste and smell and the like. We cannot help but notice changes in our emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. Ever changing one and all, there is nothing permanent to grasp. That phrase, keep it in your back pocket. There will be times in your life where it is a solace. It reminds me of something. One time, as I sat meditating under a neighbor's tree, a gal walked by, a local artist, and upon her forearms was tattooed a quote from Edgar Allan Poe, which I shall now butcher for you. All that I have seen, and all that we have been, is simply a dream within a dream. If you've just joined us, welcome aboard. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or their application, please type your question in great detail in the chat window. James the Wiser has a comment, and he wrote, could you say the Eightfold Path in order with a 3-second delay in between so Kevin and I can write it down, please? Well, of course. However, you can simply download this from my download page because you'll notice it's already written there for you. Whoopsie. Here's the 7th fold. Here's the 8th fold. Here's an overview. Here's the 6th fold. Here's the 1st fold, and I bet you can bet what's coming next. You can tell what's coming. I'm not that sneaky. Let us explore the inner set of preliminary practices from the worldview of the final meditation manual of Dza Paltrul Rinpoche, titled Our Treasure of the Enlightened Ones, lauded by the 14th Dalai Lama. Together. In our compassion may we long to free all beings from the toxic tyranny of ever. Hating, craving, and clinging, metaphorically known as the 3 mental poisons. By the way, James, the other day I sent you an email to test that I wrote down or copied and pasted your email address correctly. Please let me know if you received that email. We come now to Wishing Love's Right Aspiration, the 2nd fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. Practice mindfulness and meditation every 12 hours, and you can't help but wish others well. Thanks, Jay. Thanks, Jay. You don't play, you just slay. Every day, come what may. Together. In our pragmatism, may our liberation of all others be fueled by our reliance on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students, described by the metaphor of the three wish-fulfilling jewels. And now for something completely different. Let us recite this. May we free all through thee three jewels. May we free all through thee three jewels. May we free all through thee three jewels. Now, this is completely optional. My favorite two forms, my favorite three forms of exercise would be Buddha bowing, walking meditation, and tantric sex. I think right now we'll just keep it G-rated and limit ourselves to Buddha bowing. Due to my degenerating lumbar spine, I really am no longer capable of Tibetan-style Buddha bowing. It's a shame because I really love it. Love it. But my back disagrees, so instead I do a version of squat thrusts. And if you want, you can do it with me. You don't have to. I promise not to show up on your doorstep and compel you to work out with me like a great contemplative Richard Simmons. Wait, wait. Okay, so I take a cloth, I take a towel, dish towel, I set it on the hardwood floor. May we free all from the three jewels. Oops, let's try that again. That didn't come out right. May we free on through the three jewels. May we free on through the three jewels. May we free on through the three jewels. Whew! Woo-wee. That'll wake you up first thing in the morning. Excuse me. right. So I've got to tell you something super controversial. People who are rigid and fearful or controlling are like, oh yes, you must bow to the triple jewel 108 times a day, every day. Oh my goodness. Meh. Those of us on the path of being flexible, loving, and laid back are like, dude, it's fun exercise. And if you get to train in practical compassion simultaneously, cool beans. But let's not be superstitious about it. Together. Rather than squander our time and energy on defensiveness, how much wiser could it be to learn our mistakes and lessons that effortlessly flow from the centered spontaneity of mindfulness and meditation? So you might question my enthusiasm to edit word order. And that's because the final word of every sentence has a deep impact on our mind. Oh, look at this. Hey Lama, we would love to know what the kiwi-looking brown area northeast of the amygdala is. Oh, that was the cerebellum, not the cerebrum, but the cerebellum, the key of motor actions. So for instance, people with ADHD who are horribly uncoordinated, it's because the rear right portion of the cerebellum doesn't work right. So there you have it. Now, bear in mind, I am as far as neuroscience goes, I make a good meditation teacher. I'm no neuroscientist, and I speak in broad, sweeping generalizations. I don't want to be like Deepak Chopra, who tries to use a really, 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 really unfortunate interpretation of quantum physics to justify his flavor of metaphysics. And then when he goes to universities, he gets heckled by people who really know particle physics. So I have an acute awareness of the limitations of my mastery of neuroscience. But in a nutshell, the kiwi is your cerebellum, the key to coordination. And what I know of neuroscience is nothing special. You could cruise YouTube and, find some simplified neuroscience instructions. Never trust a neuroscientist who takes 90 minutes to explain something. Find short neuroscience videos, like 1 minute or 3 minutes. A teacher in my high school once said, "You don't know something till you can explain it simply." A fringe benefit of our regular practice of mindfulness and meditation is that we spontaneously practice right conduct's kindness, which is the fourth fold of the Buddha's eightfold path. I forgot to mention right communication. Bad, Lama. Bad, Lama. So, right aspiration, you could think so. Good old Karma Jigme of Tibet insisted the essence of the Bodhisattva vows was to wish others well. He also insisted that the essence of the hundreds of Praktimoksha vows is simply non-violence. We can practice verbal non-violence, and we can practice behavioral non-violence. So when you go to wake up your partner, please don't use a hammer. Because this is not the Lizzie Borden School of Meditation. James, you're utterly welcome. I'm so used to calling you James. What do you prefer, James, Jay, Jehoshaphat? Lay it on me. Please chant with me. A life squandered in competition and greed leads not to peace and fulfillment. Better to live in cooperation and generosity. At life's end may this mind shoot out crowns on, purifying, multiplying, and offering my stuff to all beings of nirvana and samsara. Oh, Kevin, you slay me. And this brings us to right commerce's kindness, the fifth fold of the Buddha's eightfold path. Commercial nonviolence, not striving to be a Karen, forever trying to get people fired, not being a Chad, forever trying to drive other people out of business. That's not kind. How much wiser it is to replace competition and cruelty with cooperation and kindness. Why, thank you, sir. Let us invite real or imagine Lama generation. Let us invite real or imagine Lama zig to our heart mind. That in the union of bliss and letting go we may train. Congratulations, you now know the Eightfold Path. All circumstances or that. Ooh, look at that. So what do we have here? That was about a little bit. That's about a 5-bit. So we can hit home and cut and reveal and paste-a-rooney. And now, there we go. All circumstances or thoughts could be as impermanent and interdependent, as if they could blissfully melt into rainbow light that could delightfully absorb into this body or form. All bodies, white. Well, look at that. I did it again. Well, at least I'm consistent, eh, folks? Okay, here we go. All bodies or forms could be as impermanent and interdependent, as if they could blissfully melt into a rainbow light that could delightfully absorb into this communication or speech. But wait, you might say, this is too easy. Isn't meditation supposed to be difficult and painful and make me look like I just sucked a lemon? But not in the fun, tingly way. No, it's not. Buddha taught full enlightenment can be accomplished in a week. That's easy. Buddha taught that the fourth enlightenment factor is joy. Unless you're a masochist, something's difficult is not going to be joyful to you. The Buddhist path is supposed to be easy and fun and blissful. Together. Oops, I did it again. Me and Brittany. Oops, I did it again. No one's going to confuse me for a pop singer. Nobody. No how. Ain't gonna happen. All interpersonal speech could be as impermanent and interdependent as if it could blissfully melt into rainbow light that could delightfully absorb into this mind. But the real question is, when will my belly be flat enough to dress like she did and hit me baby one more time? All minds could be as impermanent and interdependent as if they could blissfully melt into rainbow light that could delightfully absorb into our vast empty void. Like the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although tantalizing to the eye, could be not graspable to the hand. Together, let us seal this evening's practice by percussively chanting loving wishes for universal enlightenment and well-being. May all minds of all beings lucid yet void now be as enlightened as a Buddha's mind symbolized by a one-syllable bija. May all speech of all beings resounding yet void now be as loving as a Buddha's speech symbolized by a multi-syllable mantra. May all forms of all beings sensual yet void now be as healthy as a yidam depicted in Buddhist statuary. Ooh, look at that. May all lots of all beings appearing yet void now be as fortunate as a pure land of law depicted in Buddhist paintings. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. Oopsie, wow, what's going on here? That's a real bummer. Let's see if I can't get this bad boy to work properly. Wow, man. Is this it? Oh, haha. There you go. When in doubt, push the right button in the right sequence. I look forward to returning in approximately 10 3/4 hours to lead tomorrow's early meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.